quick. All right. So again, thank you for coming here for another Hot Topic Tuesday. So I have a discussion question that I want to share with the audience and for those that are watching at a later time. If you can think about this yourself, why is there so much of focus on prevention when it comes to youth and marijuana? Why do we focus on that? There's a lot of providers on the call. So why so much focus on youth and marijuana when it comes to
to prevent
to prevent? Okay. Anyone else?
I would say to prevent them from harming themselves, just to put that awareness in their mind ahead of time.
Yeah, I like that. You know, planting that seed of awareness.
To make sure that the youth are well informed and that they know the risks involved in use of marijuana, so they can make informed decisions.
For them to make informed decisions, all right? So we give them all the facts and they deal with the facts and information as they choose. Okay. Anyone else? If not, then we'll continue back to the slides. Again, for participating. Again, we have a lot of chances for discussion today. So here's a video that I'm going to share. I think this video is really great to share with youth or even like adults and other providers on how marijuana affects the youth brain. You know, the youth brain develops from back to front, and the front part is the last part of the body to develop. So it starts around age 15, which is well into high school years, and ends typically around the age of 25. So let me go ahead and play this video.
You've probably heard that marijuana isn't good for kids, but what does that actually mean?
To answer that question, let's take a closer look at the endocannabinoid system to see exactly what it does, what marijuana does to it, and what that does to you.
Spread throughout the brain, the endocannabinoid system is a biological system made up of chemical messengers called endocannabinoids, cellular receptors that communicate with endocannabinoids, and enzymes that break down endocannabinoids after they've delivered their messages.
As endocannabinoids communicate with receptors throughout your body, they create balance and help regulate many body and brain functions, such as helping with memory, coping with stress, pain, and anxiety, and keeping hunger, body temperature, motor coordination, and alertness in balance.
Now let's see what happens when marijuana is introduced into this balancing system. Made from a plant called cannabis, marijuana can be smoked, vaporized, or ingested through food or drink.
Marijuana contains a chemical called tetrahydrocannabinol, also known as THC. Since THC's chemical structure is similar to naturally occurring endocannabinoids, the body allows THC to attach to endocannabinoid receptors in the brain.
When THC enters the body, it overwhelms the endocannabinoid system, attaching to cannabinoid receptors and throwing the body and brain off balance, preventing endocannabinoids in your brain from doing their jobs. Endocannabinoids work like a well-conducted and highly synchronized orchestra, with each one playing at a particular time and place in harmony. When THC is introduced, the precise coordination is lost and thrown off. The endocannabinoids can no longer do their special job. This means your brain will have a harder time regulating all of those functions like memory, coping with stress and anxiety, and motor coordination. Plus, when using marijuana, some people may experience fear, anxiety, paranoia, or memory loss.
Laws allowing medical and recreational use of marijuana for adults are becoming more common in some states, though not in others. But as a young person with a still developing brain, marijuana can have a stronger, more harmful effect on you than adults.
In fact, research has shown that young people who chronically use marijuana, especially highly potent marijuana, increase their risk of cognitive and memory damage, serious mental illnesses like depression and psychosis, and addiction to alcohol or other drugs in adulthood.
Learning the facts can help you make healthy decisions. So say yes.
All right. So as mentioned in the video, that marijuana or THC, the component that makes you high in marijuana affects the brain. So now we're gonna focus on the youth brain and how marijuana affects it. So young people who use marijuana weekly have a double chance or double the risk of depression. It just said that we're reiterating here, and it's just another way that how marijuana affects the youth brain. Teens who smoke marijuana at least once a month are 3 times more likely than non-users to have suicidal thoughts. And then lastly, those who try marijuana by the age of 18, so before the age of 18, were 2.4 times more likely to be diagnosed with schizophrenia than those who have tried, and the risk increases with the frequency of use. For this one, it's not so much a causality relationship, saying that marijuana will cause schizophrenia. Schizophrenia and other diagnoses similar to it come out when you're younger. So when you're using marijuana, it kind of, in a sense, it allows it to thrive, right? For it to expand and to come out. Those types of diagnosis. I've seen it with family members, so I can attest to this. But again, we're sharing that the youth brain is still developing. That's kind of that thermometer. I really like that imagery in the video, that marijuana has more harmful effects to the youth because their brain is still developing. And just as the picture right here to the right shows, that the youth are 4 to 7 more times more likely to have marijuana use disorder. Yes, you can be addicted to marijuana for those who begin using before the age of 18. Again, in the midst, right in the middle of the frontal lobe developing. And for those that don't know, the frontal lobe is really responsible for decision-making, impulse control, understanding consequences, so forth and so forth. And like I like to tell the teenagers or the youth that I work with, that you kind of need that to adult, right? To be adulting correctly, you need the frontal. That's how marijuana affects the youth brain. So there's also youth attitudes to marijuana use. So a lot of this is pulled for the most recent CNA here in LA County. I know we're about to embark new CNA to get up-to-date information. But during this time of youth brain development, they have certain attitudes towards the risk of marijuana. So the first point here is the youth perception towards different drugs. 83% said heroin is of great risk. And then 80% of crack, cocaine, 75%. So these big drugs, the majority is saying they're not safe. LSD, maybe because it's not really something that we hear a lot at this age or at their age, 56%. And then marijuana all the way low, 29%. So it's not really perceived to be a harmful drug or of great risk, of great risk of harm. Also, according to the CNA, marijuana users were less likely than non-users to perceive that regular marijuana use is a great risk for you. So if I'm an adult and I use marijuana, I'm more like, nah, I'm that part of the 33.5%. Compared to those that don't use, they might perceive it as more harmful to youth. Some common reasons for why youth are using marijuana, or just people in general, is to have fun. So 63.6 of those that answered and participated in the LA County CNA said that was to have fun. Second reason was to relax. And the third was to get high. I thought this was interesting because it's not so much the high and escape that they're looking for, it's the fun and relaxation. And sometimes we do this, with our group of friends, right? Communal activities. So when I think of youth, I always think of youth in groups of friends, right? So I can see where the fun and relax is coming from. But according to the perception, marijuana, again, is not so harmful. So just some tendencies of marijuana use according to the last CNA. And again, reiterating how they view marijuana, 95.4% of those that use marijuana say they use it mostly by smoking, traditional means. So the vast majority smoking it. Of those marijuana users, 54.6% said they consume marijuana through edibles, and another 27% said that they vape marijuana. And again, the marijuana users, nearly 60%, 59.4%, reported that marijuana use did not cause any harms to them and those around them. So there's nothing harmful when they're using and under the influence of marijuana. I have another discussion question, looking at the perceptions of those from youth and those that do and do not use marijuana. And again, reiterating the youth brain development, the frontal lobe. Why do you think the youth perception of marijuana is so low? 29%. What do you think influences that? What do you think contributes to the low perception of harm of marijuana?
This is Jen. I think part of it is that is so like normalized in our culture. Like you got small songs talking about like smoke weed every day, or in songs and things like that. Like they may glorify smoking weed and getting high versus like you don't hear songs mainstream that are talking about injecting heroin or snorting cocaine, right? And so I think that that may be one of the reasons why.
Popular media, right? Pop culture. Anyone else? What do you think contributes to the low perception of harm? Why you think marijuana is not harmful at all?
Hi, I like to share. Oh, I don't know if someone else wants to go. But I think there's this idea of like it's natural, it's better than other drugs, quote unquote. So therefore they think that it doesn't have those harmful effects like other drugs does because it's a plant, right? And it's natural. I hear that a lot from youth. So yeah, it's my take on it.
Yeah. Why, if God planted it in the earth, why wouldn't he want me to use it? Yeah, I've heard that a lot. So yeah, this is natural. That is natural, right? It's not manufactured. It's not man-made. Sinclair, go ahead.
I think because of the law, the people vote for legalize of the marijuana. Maybe they think it's a lot of people voting for it, so it must be safe. And a lot of people are using it, so that's probably the reason.
Yeah, the term legalization is it's okay, right? Legal. So I've definitely encountered a lot of youth saying that it's legal, but not to you, So but yeah, so thank you. I think all of that combined, family, environment, culture, etc., really adds to the perception. Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, also it's they follow their friend, they see that their friend use it. And it seems like normal for them, and also advertise. You drive on the street, freeway, sometimes you see that. Yeah, that's also to them it's normal. Yeah.
Yeah, and as we saw in the CNA, it's not used to get high, right? It's not used to escape. It's used to have fun and to relax. And again, when you're having fun, you're usually having fun with your friends. So I can, definitely friends influence on. All right. Well, thank you. Those are great responses. So let's get to it. Here we go. So now we're gonna focus on the use of marijuana. Use of marijuana. So in the last CNA, we saw that smoking traditional means is by far the most common way how LA County residents consume marijuana. But there has been some trends at a national level that smoking marijuana in traditional means is on the decline. Consuming marijuana by edible and via vape devices is getting more popular. So there were significant amounts of those users that we saw recently that were consuming by consuming edibles and vaping marijuana, and a lot maybe has to do with the marketing. So if you look to the right, you have these different things that, again, we talked about this in tobacco or even like alcohol, about the marketing and how it's geared towards you. It's using fruity flavors, it's using candy, using youth products to kind of sell their products. So to the top left is it's a marijuana vape liquid, and then you see in this Fruit Loops right behind it, right? Everybody knows Fruit Loops. So that's the Fruit Loops candy flavor. To the right, mango. Like I had mango all the time, right? Mango flavor Dizzy, and that brand is so popular. I've seen it everywhere, anywhere. A lot of people do talk about Stizzy, and that's another marijuana vape. And again, the fruity flavors, right? The bottom left picture is it Sour Patch Kids or Stoner Patch Dummies? Right, if we're not really paying attention, it's the same yellow color, it's the similar figurines, right? The same everything. The letters, the sour, the stoner are green, the patch is orange, right? If you're not paying attention, that you can really get confused. But again, it's advertising a candy that a lot of youth tend to use, right? Like to consume. And then to the bottom right are edibles, little candy flavors, and again, tropical fruit chews. So again, this is on the upward trend at a national level on how youth are consuming, but still traditional means is still the vast majority as we're seeing here in LA County. So why are we talking about this? And again, we're focusing on the youth, is that youth who ingest these edibles, especially if they don't know where it's from, sometimes they won't have the legal means of how much you can ingest, right? So if you're unaware, California law, so the bottom right, that edible follows California laws, 100 milligrams at most for the whole entire package. Each item is no more than 10 milligrams. So, but if you do it at home or you do it someone that is not, certified or, gone through California regulations, you might be consuming a lot more. And what's scary with edibles specifically, that you won't feel it for another 30 minutes, an hour or so. So you might forget that you took the edible, and then all of a sudden you feel all these effects like hit you at once, right? Especially when children are at school or the youth are at school or returning home. So they don't know when it's gonna hit them and how hard it's gonna hit them. You might not know where the edible is coming from. It has different levels of concentrations. So I think that's one of the dangers, that why we focus on, like, what are the youth using, right? And how can we tell them, inform them, right? So they can make the best decisions possible. So again, youth use of marijuana, over 3/5, so nearly 62% of LA County residents age 12 or older perceive that it's easy to access marijuana around their neighborhood. So about 62%. Among marijuana users, so those that are already using, 81.2% reported marijuana was easy for them. It's easy to access for marijuana. If you ask, our teenagers or young adults or preteens, they're seeing that in their community. So most commonly ways to obtain marijuana by marijuana users is 57.8% from a friend. So like what Julia was saying, the friends definitely have an influence on perception. Well, it seems that friends also have an influence on obtaining and accessing marijuana. So I think it's good to educate and focus the youth as a large group, because that's the trends that we're seeing. 21% flat said that the access from a dispensary. Again, you have to be 21 and over. So if the minors are getting it, it's because they might be that friend or a family or relative. So a family relative, 11.1% said that's how they're getting their marijuana. That's how they're obtaining their marijuana. And then dealers are last with 5.6% from these categories. You see, it's definitely from a friend or relative. You combine that with someone close to you that we're hitting almost 70%. So it's good to know the talk amongst friends, amongst the youth together, so they understand. This is why we focus on prevention. The focus on youth outcomes due to marijuana. So we focus to the figure to the right, especially in the bottom. Heavy marijuana use by teens is linked to, you see, lower grades, exam scores, less likely to enroll to college, less likely to graduate from high school or college, lower satisfaction with life, more likely to earn lower income, and more likely to be unemployed. So I have 2 stories from people that I grew up with. One was top of the class basketball player, went to a top UC, being from a first generation college student, like first in his family to go to a 4-year university, and making his family proud. He started slanging, and he started getting involved with the wrong crowd. And then because of his decision making, He was not allowed on campus and got kicked out. And then he became a career in like, he wanted to be a rapper and focus like on marijuana as his topic. Like, I don't know how much this guy's changed. And he had his younger siblings look up to him. I'm telling you, this guy was 10 APs plus. You know, I went to Redondo Union High School where kids went to Harvard, et cetera, et cetera. He was competing with them. Like, I admired him because he was a kid like me who's found we were the first to go to college. And unfortunately, because he chose marijuana, that led to other decisions and other drug usage. I don't even know where he's at now. I have another friend, younger than me. He went to the same university, and again, he wanted to be involved in partying, including marijuana use, and he got EP, academic probation. So I tell this kid the story because they don't want AP in college, and he got kicked out. He was able to return, but he was able to return like 4 years later, 5 years later. So that's also tough, right? So this image on the right, I can, I can attest with other examples in my life. But we're looking at the outcomes of the marijuana. 39.1% marijuana users reported driving under the influence. And when you ask them if the ways their marijuana use caused harm, those same ones are responding only at 16.4% said that DOI is harmful. Like, they're not realizing that they're driving on the streets under the influence, and that can definitely impact their lives and many more. 49.2% of the youth 12 to 17 reported going to school high. And then you see the number dipped for 30.6% from 18 to 20-year-olds, like college level students. But it's not because they're getting better or they're using less, but maybe what the graphic is saying, less likely to enroll in college. So 30.6% of those, again, reported to school, and 61% said they first used marijuana before. And again, this is again why I think there's a focus on youth prevention when it comes to marijuana. So going back to the group, going back to the audience, what are some other consequences of marijuana use? So let me stop sharing to see everybody. Any other consequences from marijuana use?
Those consequences,
Mhm.
like low self-esteem,
Okay.
and broke up friends and family, and no respect from the community, from the family, from the work environment.
So the social consequences to this.
Yes, consequences, yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually run to the financial and spiritual catastrophe.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Anyone else?
Loss of
Yeah.
motivation.
Oh,
Well, we'll let Erica go first, and then Richard.
I'm sorry. Okay, so loss of motivation, I would say. I feel like their relationships with others can deteriorate. Loss of money, of course, loss of focus, and drive in school. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I think the loss of drive, right? They might have some other aspirations and dreams, and Richard.
yes. It's one of the major reasons why people don't finish their colleges, especially for college students, is because of their use of marijuana. And I think another consequences is the fact that it messes up your reaction, right? So that means what? When you're drug driving, eventually you might get into car crashes because of it.
Yeah, so it doesn't not just affects you, it affects others, right? Whether it's DUIs or whether you drop out of school, because that affects your family, right? That your friends and other things that were important to you. Julia.
Yes, I think it's also financial problem,
Mhm.
and of course, addiction is gonna link to addiction and health issue, health problem, and memory loss. There's many issues based on that, because when they see their friend using it, they tend to use more, and then all they're gonna see, and then they continue, and then they didn't know that's gonna be addicted, and it's gonna affect their financial or education, memory loss. So that's my point.
Claire, I don't know if your hand is still up from the last time or if you want to share something too.
That's from last time.
No. All right. So let's return. Thank you everyone for sharing. So focus. So again, this is why many reasons why we focus on youth prevention work, right? And there's different ways. Social media posts to disseminate information to a youth audience. So this is a video from a past intern who wrote about how the marijuana use affects the brain and how she uses coloring or drawing as a way to not use marijuana.
Hi everyone, so for today's video, for Drug Fact Week, I got healthy habits and hobbies. As you can see, I'm slowly starting to draw a brain. I like to draw as a healthy habit, on my spare time, just because I sometimes get bored, but then I also like to get creative sometimes. So as you can see here, I'm using my focus and concentration to draw. When you're under the influence of marijuana, you kind of lack that kind of abilities because of your motor neurons that are not working properly because you're under the influence. So you can see here, I'm going on to drawing and painting. There are two lobes to the brain. There's a left and a right. As you can see on the left side, we have our logical side, and on the right side, we have our creative side. That's why on the right, I decided to do more of a rainbow so you can tell what the difference is between the two lobes in a more visual compared to writing way. Substance use, such as marijuana, doesn't allow the brain to fully focus and concentrate. So you can see here, I put left and right characteristics of both brains.
So that's a way that we can participate in prevention work. Our coalition, Southgate Communities Creating Change, we have one right now currently for Alcohol Awareness Month, and it's, we're using that information to get out to the community. We also work with our local youth coalitions or adult coalitions, again, to share information and alcohol and other drug education to the community, including marijuana use. We work with, again, the local coalitions of residents to create changes in the community. I'm gonna pass it right now in a little bit to Tracy to show the work that she's been doing with Gardena High School and the youth in Gardena for Anti-420. So we capitalize on Anti-420, Alcohol Awareness Month, Red Ribbon Week, or other weeks like National Drug and Alcohol Facts Week to engage the community, right? And to highlight the importance of prevention work, especially with youth and marijuana use. So Tracy, I'll pass it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Marlon. So yeah, as Marlon said, I work with a high school group over at Gardena High School. They're called High School Task Force. And what we've done for the past, I don't know how many years, maybe 4 or 5 years, we wanted to focus on the 420 day. That 420 day was generally seen as a day to smoke out. And we wanted to challenge that notion. And so the adult coalition joined with the youth coalition to come up with ways that we could kind of send that message to the youth. So we created activities to not only engage the students, but also to engage their minds and to teach them in a fun way how marijuana can affect their brain, how it could have long-term effects, like what Marlon was saying, on memory and on motivation and different things like that. The hopscotch game you see on the right-hand side, we had the students wear vision goggles, where their vision is altered in such a way that it kind of is hard to see the lines, it's hard to focus, and they get the the semblance of what it's like to be under the influence of marijuana. Trying to go through a hopscotch course by itself is difficult enough, but put into effect those goggles is even harder. We also highlighted how edibles have an effect on youth, and showcasing that by showing them photos of regular cookies and sweets, along with some that might have been laced with marijuana, and just showing the students that it's difficult to tell the difference between those if they're out of the package. So they need to be aware of where they're getting their food source from, make sure that it's a trusted source. So overall, we just want to, engage the youth and make sure that they understand the harms of marijuana. And that even though the saying that we say is legal does not mean safe. That's the bottom line. Even though it's legal, doesn't mean it's safe for youth to use, especially since their brains are still developing. So that's what we've done at Gardena High School. Also in the city of Gardena, we got a proclamation, and the city of Gardena proclaimed April 20th as Challenge the Norm. I forgot what the whole term was, Challenge the Norm. So we were challenging the 420 again within the city of Gardena. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and she was out there this morning.
Yeah. And we're doing events today, tomorrow, and the next day at Gardena High School, engaging the youth in their learning.
Thank you, Tracy, for sharing what you're doing. But this is an example of youth prevention work. So again, our last discussion question, what are some other ways to focus on youth marijuana prevention? So what other ways, or what are some things that maybe you're doing in your respective cities you want to share, youth marijuana prevention?
This is,
Go, Jen.
no, Erica, you go.
Now, I'm just going to share that what we've been doing is we've been going to the schools, so like Torrance High School, for example, and educating the youth on the dangers of marijuana and vaping and the harms it does to their body. So we've been connecting with them in that way, sharing information also. And then Jen, if you wanted to add.
Yeah, I think some things that you could do, I'd say there are a lot of things that we commonly do just as people, right? That and as far as it relates to connecting with other people. And my suggestion is to think outside the box. And a part of that is like, can you take what may seem like a regular game night or game day and incorporate a substance abuse message? Could you show youth healthy alternatives that maybe they haven't explored yet, or they haven't thought about? Like, yeah, you could actually do so and so instead of using drugs. I think that's something that we try and incorporate, is like being able to ask the question, like, what is a healthy alternative, to make sure they understand it and to provide the answer. But then also like showing them some different healthy alternatives and providing opportunities for them to do it. And then I think the other thing I say too is like, sometimes the communities we work with may not have the resources. And if there's a way for us to provide the resources, like if it's painting, to provide that canvas, a paintbrush, and a couple colors of paint or something, right? Then I think that'll be the best way to also support them.
Richard's hands up, so go ahead, Richard.
Thank you, Marlon. You know me, I'm a big advocate of policy advocacy. And I think, even with UMA, illegally in the United States, marijuana is still illegal, right? And so we do have UMA to give local control of it in our cities on California, but I think it's clear we can advocate for policy that will make sure that the visibility, the access, and the use of marijuana by the youth can be prevented. There are many ways we can put it in the law.
Yeah, so we have a lot of great ways. So, going to the schools. Oh, Julia, go ahead.
Yes, so some of the way that I did is like we have parent education. So that's we inform the adult, and then they teach their grandkid or the family member, and that pass on. And also it is difficult to reach out to the youth. So another way is like, for me, it's like my son, when I invited him to come and join, and his friend, it's difficult. So what it is, we put it like 3 or 4 lines calling, and that's how I share some of information to them too. So that's also helping, and they kind of open more instead of like forcing them or for them to join. They kind of hesitate. So I bring those information to them by doing that, connect them. And sometimes I say it's okay to bring your friend to a house, and then, I try to reach out to them what I think is best, if they, they willing to want to hear it. So those are some other things, and it's about connection and build relationship and the trust that they want to hear some of us information that we give it out, because our goal is just to we want to inform them, to raise awareness while they are young, and we don't want them to ruin their future. That's our purpose, our prevention, whatever we can do about that. Yeah, so that's some of the thing I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so just to kind of recap, so we had, going to the school, speaking to the students, being creative and offer these healthy alternatives. We had, looking at what's going on in the community. Maybe we want to advocate for a new ordinance or a law, right? Or speaking to parents. There's some protective factors that include for the youth to have goals, like if they want to go to college, that's a good way of prevention. If they want to play sports with their friends, again, healthy alternatives. If having parents that that are they're firm in what they're saying, and that there's trust between the kids and their parents. So the parent presentations, and yeah, and if their community has a feeling together that that looks down, or maybe has a like it's something of a community value to not use marijuana when you're young, then that all are protective factors. So that goes to the ordinances and what's going on to the cities, providing these healthy alternatives. So thank you everyone for sharing what's going on in your community and ways that we can focus and participate in prevention. We're wrapping it up. So any questions or answers or any comments on why we focus on prevention when it comes to youth and marijuana use? Can't see you, so let me know. All right. Now you can write it in the chat. Just want to announce our next Hot Topic Tuesday is in 2 weeks' time on May 3rd at 4 p.m. So we'll be sending out the flyer before that Hot Topic Tuesday. Also, myself and the Long Beach organizer Rith Thatch will be doing this presentation, RX opioids and monitor, store, and lock. The Curtis Tucker Health Center will be virtual. So that's next Tuesday. We'll be doing it at 3 p.m. That's the Bitly link. So again, prevention work is also offering education information. Where there's take back events that are coming in the South Bay in our region of Spot 8. So here's some of the flyers. Here's the one in Inglewood and Gardena. Picture of the flyers. I can always send it afterwards. And then we have the flyers for Carson and Torrance. Okay. So this is great ways for the communities to participate. You can look up for the nearest Take Back event if you're watching on YouTube that's happening in your community, and that way you can be involved also in prevention work. This time will be prescription and opioid prevention. So we invite the community to any of the 4 locations. Again, my name is Marlon Pascual, Inglewood Community Organizer. So for AADAP, our social media channels. And if you want to connect with your community organizer to your cities, we have them listed here. So we have Gardena, Long Beach, Carson, and just the South Bay in general. So thank you everyone for participating.
I have a question
Yes, yes.
with Jen.
Mm-hmm.
Jen, you're
Yes.
talking about Canvas. So when you mentioned in the meeting once before, you mentioned about Canvas. So Canvas, when you're gonna have that workshop?
We already had all the Canva workshops 2
Oh no,
weeks ago.
sorry, not that one. The drawing one you just mentioned. Is it the drawing one?
Oh, we aren't having one. I was just saying that that's like a tool or something that everybody could do if you're working with youth and focusing on like healthy alternatives or healthy things that they could do instead of using drugs.
Okay, so you already have that drawing already, the class, the workshop on that one.
We did do one in December for college students.
Oh, okay. I thought recently, because when I talked to one or some of the parents, they say they want to know if you have the class on Saturday, the workshop for the drawing.
Oh, no.
No. Okay, I thought I confused with that. All right, thank you so much. Thank you,
But you
everyone.
can ask Marlon and Tracy to do one.
Yeah, the drawing one,
Yeah. Okay.
Saturday.
Yeah, Tracy's the hot topic Tuesdays.
Saturday topic.
But thank you, Saturday. Yeah, Saturday.
All right, let me know when you guys have it. I can share it out.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.